Moving on now, and our next guest was one of the most powerful people in Hollywood, but he gave it all away for the chance to help some of the world's poorest children.
He's the Aussie guy who worked his way up from high school dropout to the very top of 20th Century Fox International. He was living the dream, hanging with celebrities and driving fast cars, while overseeing the release of blockbusters like Independence Day, Braveheart and Titanic.
I'm the king of the world!
But in 2003, Scott Neeson took a short holiday to Cambodia that would change his life forever. At a rubbish tip just outside the capital of Phnom Penh, he saw hundreds of children picking through scraps just to survive. When he returned to Hollywood, it was a sight he couldn't forget.
It was, without doubt, the most apocalyptic scene I've ever seen.
A year later, he'd sold everything and started the Cambodian Children's Fund. Today, his charity is schooling almost 2,000 students, treats 30,000 patients and serves 460,000 hot meals every year.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
10 years ago, Scott Neeson lived next door to Cindy Crawford. Today, he lives by a massive tip and he couldn't be happier.
Please welcome Scott Neeson. Scott, welcome to the show. It's an incredible story, but, you know, a lot of people travel to Southeast Asia, see poverty, and they come home and they don't change their lives. They maybe donate more regularly or something like that. When was the moment that you actually decided, you know what, I'm going to walk away from my life and do something?
Well, this was really extreme. I wasn't planning to, but ended up on the garbage dump just outside of Phnom Penh, and there was about 1,500 children living in the worst conditions I've ever seen. And it's 11 hectares of garbage. There was child trafficking, horrendous death rate amongst the children. There was no sense of hope for anyone. There was no way of getting out of there, no education, a real sense of hopelessness. And that's when it started, when I knew I would have trouble going back. I still went back to Hollywood and spent a year commuting between Los Angeles and Cambodia. 1 week in Cambodia, 3 weeks in LA. And that was hard. I mean, talk about extremities, that was very difficult.
When you talk about extremities, was there one trigger point, though, from Hollywood that made you make the decision?
There was, actually. There was a point where I was working for Sony Pictures and I was on the garbage dump, having left one of our top stars in another country to do publicity. I got to the garbage dump and one of the older ladies there came and got me and said to these children in a very bad way. And she took me to a corner of the garbage dump and there's a young group of children about 4 or 5 years old and they were seriously sick. They had typhoid and not being too dramatic, they were dying of typhoid. And being a single guy from Los Angeles, I had no idea what to do and was kind of panicked. And my office called, my phone rang, it was my office, and they patched through the said star who was touring, and he and his agent were on the phone, and they were so aggrieved because our local office had put the wrong amenities on the private jet. And he refused to get on the jet, and there was a real kerfuffle. And, you know, I was on an international call, and there's that pause in the call, and he said to me, his words were, "Scott, my life wasn't meant to be this difficult." And I was standing on this dump with these children that were dying, and it was really a wonderful moment, because if I was really looking for some sort of validation, what I was doing was right, and that was it. So when I went back, I resigned and moved to Phnom Penh in 2004.
Who was the actor?
I can't tell you that.
Just whisper it.
But do you ever get overwhelmed by the fact that you can't help every single child? How do you get up every day?
I can. We haven't said no. If a child comes to us, if been through really difficult times, they can't get to education, there's been serious abuse, we don't say no. The plan was to have 85 children, then it was 100 and then 200, and we're just shy of 2,000 right now. And it's working better now than ever. The education's good, the leadership programs, the granny programs, everything works together.
Hearing your story is wonderful. The beautiful irony is that a lot of those people I'm sure you worked with before have sat in that seat on this desk, and now having you there, it's a wonderful thing to be here talking to you. I mean, Charlie would agree, of all the people we've spoken to, you're a wonderful person to interview. Did you figure out who your friends were in Hollywood? Because it's such a different world.
Yeah, probably none, actually. That's not fair. There are. I mean, people like Hugh Jackman's been out. He's visited. Roland Emmerich. We worked on Independence Day. He's been terrific. And Heather Graham especially. She's a doll. She's been fabulous. She's stayed with me.
Has it changed your entire conception of what success is?
Oh, completely, yeah. I mean, totally. I came from a fairly modest beginning. Well, I used to think it was working class till I went to Cambodia, but it's just the thought of how people can live and the abject squalor. I think what struck me the most, though, was just how easy it was to help. What small amount of effort and small amount of money it took to get these kids off the dump to begin with.
Name 3 movies that actor's been in.
Well, for more information on Scott's charity, Cambodian Children's Fund, you can head to our website. We salute you. Please thank Scott Neeson.
Time for a very quick break. We'll be back in a moment.